What is up? I'm Ski Master Murphy, and this is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. Once again, you're back, or this is your first time listening to me. Glad you are here. And hey, here to talk about today's topic, which is obviously it's 1 a.m. from a Saturday going into a Sunday. Currently, right now, I'm not watching Hawaii play because apparently their game, or this game, and six of their games this season are only available on pay-per-view through Spectrum Sports, which is not that serious for me. I'm not paying for it. It's a six-game package for $300, or you can buy each game individually for $70. For me, it is not that serious. I'm in Virginia. It's not that serious. I'm not going to say there are ways for you to watch it. I'm not going to recommend you find these ways to watch it. But, you know, in this day and age of the internet, whatever you want, you can find it. So, right now, Hawaii actually just punted the ball away against the Delaware State Hornets. The Rainbow Warriors are up 14-0. There are 12 and a half minutes left in the second quarter. So, yeah, things are going live. But it is week zero, and well, how can I say this? I should have probably re-listened to my episode previously, me talking about week zero, but I will say I will cut the clips in here. I'll probably have something that interjects like previously on the last episode of Dragon Ball Z to like correct the things that I said. But I'm the Oracle. I am college football's greatest Oracle. It's all me, baby. All me. Cause I can say things happened this week. I mean, on this week, this Saturday, things happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch it. You know, I'm Ski Mask Murphy, aka OG Smurf 826. What do you think the 826 stands for? Yep, my birthday weekend, so got out, did some activities with the girlfriend. Had myself a full day, so missed a football classic and the Aer Lingus College Football Classic because hey, like I said I was leaning towards Florida State winning, but I said all of the sites and the betting lines had them at around an 80% win likelihood as a favorite. I said that seemed a little too high, knowing how Georgia Tech and Haynes King and that program are running. And well, guess who was right, baby? Guess who was right? Georgia Tech wins it on a field goal as time expires 24-21, which this game, I had to go back and watch the compiled highlights, which was, I would say, decently long highlight tape that was put together by ESPN for their YouTube package. 11 minutes of the whole game worth of highlights, which when you think about, how much time is within a game, which is what, 60 minutes, and how much of that time is actually, how much time of that 60 minutes is actually plays happening. 11 minutes is a good portion of the game. I would say probably at least a good 40-ish% of gameplay, maybe, if not 50, that was recorded. So yeah, I was able to watch it, get myself up to speed, and some things happened. And I think this is the part where I'll put in, hey, this is what I previously said. I'll pause right here. I'll put it in and keep it pushing.
Replay, replay, replay. Hey, replay that. Replay that.
Well, how about I say this? All right. So right now, ESPN, their predictor with their analytics, say it's an 80 to 20% chance of winning in Florida State's favor. And check FanDuel, which I'm not promoting betting, nor are they a sponsor of the show. I do not promote betting. It's a disease, but just putting it out there. FanDuel has Georgia Tech at a plus 350 and Florida State at a minus 465. So they're pretty much favoring that Florida State's going to win this game. They got Florida State as a 10-point favorite. A lot of folks are leaning that way. I would say, given sort of the history and knowing some of the teams that play there and get a good crowd, I would say Georgia Tech may have a slight home field advantage. And I would say, don't be surprised if this is a very close game or if somehow Georgia Tech actually pulls this out for a win. Because I would say overall, I mean, Mike Norvell is a little bit on the hot seat. Well, he wouldn't be on the hot seat. Well, he shouldn't be on the hot seat, but you know how these things are with these blue blood programs. They want to win.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
But yeah, it was an interesting game to watch through these highlights. The fact that both teams scored in their opening drive immediately, which Florida State scored on their opening drive, decided to go with a swinging gate for their 2-point conversion immediately as they open up play. And then Georgia Tech immediately responds. And they just go with a normal field goal for the conversion, 1-point conversion. And then Ryan Fitzgerald for Florida State knocks in the first half two very deep field goals, one from about 54 and another one from 59 yards out. He keeps them in the game. As the game goes into halftime, 14-14, which is crazy to think. Both these teams immediately scored in their first drive. Then through the rest of the first half, FSU they knock in a field goal in the first quarter. Then Georgia Tech scores early second quarter, then field goal. Then this game just ends with both teams only scoring one more time outside of Georgia Tech scoring their field goal as time expires. And I said it, I said it, I said it. Do not be surprised if Georgia Tech wins this game. Because even though their program seemed up and down last year, they course corrected after that Miami game. That changed that whole program's trajectory in a snap. It's amazing how much one game can just change how your program ends up. Because we saw Georgia Tech after the Miami game, they went up, and Miami after the Georgia Tech game, they went down, and so did Mario Cristobal. But I mean, I'm glad that that was the game to start the season. You want a big game with something big that happens. I guess you would call it a very large upset. Let me see if I can check while I'm still talking. Check the rankings to see even if Georgia Tech was getting any votes in any of the coaches' polls, which I don't believe they did in the coaches' poll nor the AP poll. They received no votes. No one had anything for Georgia Tech. So this, I mean, we've seen some great upsets in the history of this game. I mean, considering I graduated from University of Michigan, in which my dad attended Appalachian State University. So yeah, we've seen some major upsets in the first week of the season. But this is a pretty big way to start the season. It's great for college football, especially great for all the fans across the pond who are getting into the game. Because, of course, the Aer Lingus Classic was hosted in Dublin, Ireland. Aer Lingus is their main flight coordination, which Aer Lingus loosely translates to air fleet in normal English outside of the Irish dialect. So it's great that people across the pond, because it was a sold out game, all 49,000 seats in the stadium were filled for the game, and people showed up. You can hear it if you go and watch the videos. You can hear them rumble, cheer, and roar. And which, from judging, it seemed like there was a slight slant to Georgia Tech, which I did say in my video. I'm pretty sure. I'll be cutting in stuff in here to correct myself. But that was one game. That's not the only game that happened in week 0. Like I said, I'm currently just watching the game cast for the Hawaii game versus Delaware State. But some other games happen at the FBS level, which one of them being SMU versus Nevada. SMU wins 29-24 with a late charge through the fourth quarter, putting up 16 points. So, and they were trailing, by 10 going into the fourth. So they came back strong. But I will say that I said that's a pretty even game. It could be a game to see how it shakes up, how things go down the line. So SMU's off to a good start. Let them keep it moving. But the one game I did say could possibly be an upset from an FCS team, I did say Montana State could beat New Mexico. Put the clip in here.
Replay, replay, replay. Hey, replay that. Replay that.
Fairly average FCS program. But Montana State, they've had themselves a decent run. Them and Montana, they're very competitive programs out there. If in Big Sky Country, which is also the conference they're in, that big sky country, out just short of the Pacific Northwest, but not in the Great Plains and a little bit more north. They play some very tough football out there with the FCS programs, but that's probably not a game you'll want to watch. You know,
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
on the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, put it in. I did say that Montana State, knowing the quality of football that happens between Montana State, Montana, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and for the record, and also just North Dakota as well. For the record, in just that small area of the country, going the FCS coaches poll. So Montana State's number 4, Montana's number 3, North Dakota State's number 2, South Dakota State's number 1, and then North Dakota's number 22. And I'm surprised Eastern Washington's not up there with some votes, because that would just make it, there's just a whole stretch of the country. And Idaho's number 7. So there, if you pull up a map, that whole stretch of the country. In FCS, that's where ball gets played. There's some serious ball being played out there in Big Sky country. So, yeah, I said, New Mexico hasn't been the best program recently. And Montana State, they came away with a win. They put up 21 points in the fourth quarter to sneak a win out against New Mexico. They went into the fourth quarter down 31-14, and they came out with a win. That's just that type of grit and determination that just, it's how you build programs that are ready to win and that keep winning. Sometimes, as Jim Valvano said, and as they named the 30 for 30 about that NC State national championship team, survive and advance. That's what it's about. Every week, you don't got to go out there be the baddest motherfucker who ever lived and drop 70 every game, but sometimes it's just about surviving and advancing. And that's what they did. Which, New Mexico, I know that, I don't even know if New Mexico University, even though I was out there for a summer in New Mexico, I don't think they're the university that really has the money to pay one of these FCS programs to come out for a money game. I feel that this was just, hey, we just like a game on our schedule. It just so happened to work out. I'm pretty sure if I looked on a map, Montana to New Mexico is probably just a straight shot north and south on whatever major highway that is, what major interstate. But I believe I called that one as well. And hey, a good opening week of college football, I would say. An opening week 0, outside of knowing that if you wanted to watch Hawaii, you basically had to commit either $70 or $300 to watch them play. I think that's a little bit of an unfair situation for Hawaii, and just not in just terms of me name my podcast after them, but in just general terms of like, hey, a university shouldn't need to pay $70 a game to watch your team play, because I don't even think most people's cable packages currently are around that price for just cable by itself. I mean, you get the phone and internet combinations, yada yada, but that's a lot to watch that game. But hey, I'm the Oracle. I called 2 upsets in week 0 for FBS football, and there's only 4 games, so I've hit 50% for upset calls. So, well, not 50%. I've hit 100% on 50% of the games. I don't know how you want to do this, man. You could trick it off and do some math like the government does with their budget sometimes when they don't want to tell us where the money's really going. But just know all the upsets I called, they happen. And trust me, next week, the Big 12 is in some trouble. I will talk about that on another episode this coming up week. But this is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. I'm your man, Ski Mask Smurfy, aka OG Smurf 826. I appreciate you for listening. Come back for more.